So, there I was standing in my kitchen holding a bunch of green onions, unsure of what to do next. The kitchen smelled of fresh herbs and the subtle hint of onion. It was a typical day, but with an atypical problem: too many green onions. You see, I had overestimated my green onion needs at the grocery store, resulting in an army of them crowding my kitchen counter. It felt like a scene from a quirky sitcom, the protagonist faced with a comically oversized problem. But then, a thought struck me, a solution that seemed so obvious I couldn't believe I didn't think of it sooner. Why not grow them? After all, I had heard about how easy they are to cultivate, even for a novice gardener like me. I could picture it already. My own small green onion patch, ready to provide me with a fresh supply whenever I needed. It was a win-win situation. I'd be reducing waste and gaining a new hobby. That's when I decided to take on the challenge of growing my own green onions. Before diving into the planting process, let's understand what green onions are and why they're so great to grow. Green onions, or as some like to call them, scallions or bunching onions, are a versatile and delicious addition to any meal. Imagine garnishing your dishes with fresh green onions from your garden, or using them to add a punch of flavor to your salads and soups. Sounds mouth-watering, doesn't it? What's even better is how easy they are to grow. These rapid growers can mature from seed in just 50 to 60 days. Yes, you heard it right. In less than 2 months, you could be harvesting your very own green onions. Now, if you're wondering about their sunlight needs, green onions are not too fussy. While they do love basking in full sunlight, they can also tolerate a bit of shade. So, whether you have a sunny patch or a semi-shaded corner, your green onions will do just fine. Let's talk soil conditions. Green onions are partial to rich, sandy, loamy soil with good drainage. They prefer a slightly acidic to neutral pH. So, if you've got that kind of soil in your garden, you're all set. If not, don't worry, a little bit of soil amendment can easily get your garden bed ready for planting. Here's a fun fact. Green onions can multiply by forming perennial evergreen clumps. You can divide these clumps and replant them for a fresh crop. So once you get started with green onions, you can keep the cycle going for a continuous supply of this flavorful vegetable. So now that you know why green onions are worth your time, how about we get our hands dirty? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, or in this case, a single seed. Now that we've got our green onion seeds, we're ready to embark on this incredible journey of cultivation. Growing green onions is a lot like going on an adventure. It starts with choosing the right method to sow your seeds. You can start indoors, nurturing your seeds in a cozy environment for 8 to 10 weeks before the last spring frost date. Or, if you're impatient like me and can't wait to get your hands dirty, you can sow them directly in the garden, once the danger of heavy frost has passed. Either way, it's the start of a beautiful relationship between you and your green onions. Now, let's talk about the ideal planting conditions. Imagine you're tucking your seeds into bed. You'd want them to be comfortable, right? So, you'll want to plant your seeds about 1/4 of an inch deep. Not too shallow, not too deep, just right. And just like we humans need our personal space, so do our green onion seeds. Space them about 2 inches apart. This gives them enough room to grow without competing for nutrients. And what about rows? Well, think of these as the neighborhoods of your garden. Rows should be spaced 12 to 18 inches apart. This arrangement gives your green onions enough room to spread out and grow, while also making it easier for you to water and care for them. Once you've got your seeds planted, it's time to water them. Remember, they're just like us. They need hydration to survive and thrive. But be careful not to drown them. They appreciate a good drink, but they don't want to go swimming. So, there you have it. You've taken the first step in growing your very own green onions. You've planted the seeds, set the stage, and now it's time to watch the magic happen. And just like that, you've planted your first green onion seeds. But what's next? Well, stay tuned as we dive into the fascinating world of caring for your newly planted green onions in our next scene. Growing a plant is like raising a child. It needs attention, care, and love. So let's talk about how to nurture our green onion babies. First things first, hydration. Watering your green onions is a delicate balance. Too little and they shrivel up, too much and they may rot. They love a good drink, but not a flood. Aim for a steady supply of moisture, but ensure your soil drains well to avoid waterlogged roots. It's like making the perfect cup of tea. You want it wet, not waterlogged. Now let's talk about sunlight. Green onions are sun-loving veggies. They bask in the full sunlight but are also pretty chill with partial shade. It's like they've got the perfect tan and don't mind a little shade now and then, so whether your garden is a sun-soaked Eden or a partially shaded paradise, your green onions will be content. Next up, soil maintenance. Remember, we want rich, sandy, loamy soil with good drainage and a slightly acidic to neutral pH. It's like the five-star hotel of soils. Your green onions will thrive in these luxe conditions. So make sure to check your soil's pH levels regularly and amend as necessary. Now on to hardening off. No, it's not a gym routine. It's the process of acclimatizing your green onion seedlings to outdoor conditions. Start this about a week before you plan to transplant them into the garden. Gradually expose them to the outdoor environment for longer periods each day. It's like slowly dipping your toes into a chilly pool before taking the plunge. Transplanting should be done when the weather is overcast and the wind is taking a break. Late afternoon or evening is the ideal time. It's like tucking your plants in for a good night's sleep. Space your seedlings about 2 inches apart and give them a good drink of water after tucking them in. Remember, the key to a healthy plant is a healthy routine. But how do you know when it's time to harvest? The moment of truth has arrived. It's time to reap the fruits, or rather, the onions of your labor. Harvesting your green onions is a simple process, but it involves a few key steps. The first thing you must do is identify when your green onions are ready for harvesting. Generally, this is about 50 to 60 days from when you first planted the seeds. Your green onions are rapid growers and are not daylight sensitive, so they can be harvested throughout the growing season. Now you might be wondering how you can tell if your green onions are ready to be plucked from the soil. Well, you're looking for a height of about 5 to 6 inches, and the bulbs should be slightly visible above the soil. If your green onions meet these criteria, congratulations, it's harvest time. The correct method to harvest your green onions is to gently pull them from the ground. Try to get a good grip near the base of the plant and pull upwards. Don't worry if some soil comes up with your onions. That's a part of the process. Just shake off the extra dirt and there you have it, freshly harvested green onions. But wait, there's more. Did you know you can regrow your green onions from the ones you've just harvested? That's right. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. To do this, simply save the bottom inch of your harvested green onions, the part with the roots, and plant them back into the soil. In no time, you'll see new green shoots springing up. What an economical and sustainable way to enjoy an endless supply of green onions. And there you have it, your very own homegrown green onions, ready to spice up your meals. Growing green onions at home can be a rewarding journey, one that I've thoroughly enjoyed sharing with you today. We've learned that green onions or scallions are not just easy to grow but a delightful addition to our meals. With their mild and sweet flavor, they can be savored raw or cooked. They're quick to mature, taking only 50 to 60 days from seed, and they thrive throughout the growing season. Green onions can grow from seed, transplants, scraps, or by dividing clumps. They love full sunlight but can tolerate partial shade too. The ideal soil for them is rich, sandy, loamy soil with good drainage and a slightly acidic to neutral pH. As we've seen, they can multiply by forming perennial evergreen clumps, which can be divided and replanted for a fresh crop. So it's not just a one-time harvest but a gift that keeps on giving. Thank you for joining me on this green onion odyssey. Remember to subscribe for more gardening adventures, and until next time, happy gardening.